Like, how do you simplify for someone you know that is highly skilled in their technical field, but English is their second language? So,
Hi, Sabrina. Thank you for taking time to be on the show.
Yes, thanks for inviting me.
I'll stop sharing. And could you tell me about what we're seeing in that video clip?
So it was my graduation from USC School of Education. I received my master's in TESOL, so teaching English to speakers of other languages. And also you saw a little bit of a clip of me teaching English as part of the observation that we had to do as a kind of like a student teacher. I believe that was at Chabot College, community college.
So, when you say you did student teaching, how come you're not teaching English using the foreign language?
Well, because what for one thing, the students all speak different languages, so there's no way for me to know all those languages, and it's just as a rule, like because they are university level students, their English is a little bit more advanced, so that's why we use to teach English in English only.
So, if I get that right, it's almost like when the writer David Sedaris jokes about Japanese in Japan in Japanese, or learning French in France in French, but as an English speaker. Is
Hmm.
that right?
Yes.
Have you also been a student of a foreign language? Would you talk about that while the audience also takes a glimpse at your resume?
I went to both. I went to Korea for language study at both Yonsei University and also Ewha Women's University, and I learned Korean there. It's like full immersion, but they would speak only in Korean, and that's how they would, yeah, they taught Korean basically in Korean as well. And somehow we understood, so I kind of based my teaching a little bit off of how they taught there.
Okay, so if I hear you correctly, not only have you been a teacher using a foreign language to teach your students a foreign language, you've also been a student experiencing that from that end.
Right.
Could you go ahead and walk through your resume, especially about Chabot College teaching, and then again, just as you said, the different times that you've learned Korean in Korea? Could you go ahead and talk a little bit more? Just move the resume so that.
College in Hayward.
Would you be able to circle that?
Huh?
Would you be able to circle that with your mouse so we know where to look? Oh, okay. Circle or highlight. Thanks.
Yeah.
Continue.
It also helped teach second language learners at the Pleasanton Library that are also adults. Like so, English program in Korea as a native English teacher in a small town in it's in the Chungcheongbuk-do region, which is like in the middle of Korea, and it's a tiny place called Jeongpyeong. It's a rural city,
Oh, okay.
and I taught elementary school there. So I worked with Korean co-teachers, and I taught
Could you
third,
highlight?
fifth, and
So,
sixth
oh, okay,
grade.
thank you. Yeah.
So we do like lesson planning, and then we practice conversational English with them. Again, we taught alphabet and phonics, like vocabulary,
Huh.
like and about American culture. And then we
Okay.
also had like summer and winter English camps for third graders and fifth graders. So we did like basically for our winter camp, we did like a baking or cooking day, and then all our
Sounds
instructions
really
were in
delicious. Can
English.
I ask, like, what type of things did you bake?
And what else did we do? We did brownies, I think,
Oh, okay.
and Rice Krispie treats, I think.
And the reason why I'm asking this way is that, as a grown up taking a foreign language class, we're juggling two things. We're doing a conversation in that foreign language, but also receiving instruction from the teacher in that foreign language. So you're saying to me, the students that you had were able to understand the foreign language instructions, how to bake brownies?
Yes.
Okay, how is that down? Like,
Well,
how
we
is that
also
done?
we went through the instructions, and we also like we showed them like hands-on how to do it as well.
Hands-on how to do it.
Mhm.
And that brings me to precisely why I've asked you on the show. Um, so with these activities, like a hands-on activity would be, I want you to take a look at a sample a sample video that could be made for adults. I'm really curious how you would change the instructions so that adults who are English language learners could understand. This, I'm actually pulling a clip from something we did together some years back for fun. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, I'm gonna share it now.
Okay, so we didn't have that many materials. We just had our dog Ichigo, and we had a small stuffed animal that was also a dog, and yeah, those are basically our only two materials. Besides, for the for the little water part to make it say something always watch, we just used some water that we had on hand, and like I drew with like a stick or something like that. Um, Also, we just had the camera, right? And we made some effects to make it more interesting. Um, and we discussed briefly about what scenes would we have in the video. Would need to know how to use the different effects though. For like the example, the title. Um, so I would have instructions on how to do that. Um, Also, I guess it's always hard working with live animals because you don't know what they'll do. So yeah, but everything else you can control. And like for this effect, it's also something to explain how to do it. We just move the camera to be like at the point of view of the creature that's looking at Ichigo, and
Oh,
then
okay. Do you want me to go to that section that you're talking about? So you wanted to say like there's a point of view. Okay,
mhm,
you mean
yeah,
starting here?
yes.
All right.
So it's just in the do we wanted to show it that it's like from from their viewpoint and what they see as they see the dog go by. Uh, and what else? Of course, the burying part of it, we had to
Yeah.
film
I'll
it.
try to catch it with you so the images match what you're saying. So did you say something about burying? So
Yeah,
I'll
the burying part we had to do it backwards because we couldn't instruct our dog to bury it. So it was basically her uncovering it.
let's just pretend it's this audience.
Mhm.
How would you explain it?
Well, I would probably like for an actual like student project, I would have them storyboard it first,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, that way it's they have more concrete idea about what to do for each step. Um, but yeah, and then there are like about what 15 students
Mm-hmm.
for the classroom, so I would divide them up into three teams of five, and then like each person would be in charge of something. Like one would be what like camera director, and then another one would be editor. One's going to be a storyboarder, and let's see what the other two. And then one would be like guiding. Oh, this is a little bit hard, huh? If we do something similar, I guess everyone would have to have one dog each in each group.
Or could I make a suggestion?
Hmm.
That there would be a class dog, and each team would take turns
Hmm.
filming with it.
Yeah,
That would be one
yeah,
way to do.
that'd probably be better.
So let's just say, like, could I just pretend that there's students, and how would you actually say it? How would you say to them, like, "Hey, class, we're going to take on, instead of doing role plays and talking about our hobby, like my favorite hobby is basketball, we're actually going to work together as a team. How would you, could you just like let me hear how you would say it? Because the audience here, the LinkedIn audience is really curious, like, how do you give technical instruction? How do you get people excited about doing a team project that's hyper complex in a foreign language? If we were to do a film project as an exercise that all individuals will be using English to talk to their teammates in English to pull off this silent comedy horror film. So how would you even broach this as a homework assignment? How would you, can you actually say it as if you're in front of the classroom, you're announcing a homework assignment?
Okay. So for this project, we're going to have the class dog as the main character. And then our other character is going to be the creature, which is a stuffed animal of a dog. And so we want you to create a short clip of that monster dog on its hunt for our class dog. And you can use different special effects that that we taught, such as the point of view with the black and white is already one thing to make it look a little bit more creepy, maybe. And we use stop motion as well, which is just taking pictures of the creature and moving them a little by little to make it seem like they're moving. Yeah, and also be able to use the backwards, like backwards play button to show the dog burying the creature.
What value is there in doing this at all if it's easier just to turn to your seat partner in a classroom and ask, what is your hobby? My hobby is this. What would be the value in this at all, to do a more
it's like you actually get to create something that you can share, and you work together speaking English to develop these ideas, and also you can show it to, you can show your final project using that you had to speak English for, instead of like if you did something like just talk about your hobbies, you don't have any like solid like work to show that you actually did the exercise, but this is like, the video is like the result of your hard work, basically.
That would be a good fit for an audience because the film itself is a silent film. Like, why would this be a good beginning project rather than having dialogue? Why would that be?
Because I think dialogue for English learners is probably harder to create, to make it sound like like a native speaker speaking.
Silent film, but giving instruction in English and then having your students talk to each other, practicing English in order to carry out. And then afterwards, how does it work for like the screening together, almost like grading homework together? How on earth is that done?
You mean like at the end when all the students watch it, how do you grade each other?
Yeah.
Well, just to make sure like the storyline makes sense, I guess. Like it progresses in a way that's like basically like chronological, I guess.
That I noticed that your desktop shows a music group. Could you share that again?
Yes.
The reason why I'm saying this, it's
Uh,
very similar. In order to practice a language, there usually has to be some sort of interest in a topic, right? So I'm
mhm.
just picturing there was something that brought you to Korea out of all the countries that you could have gone to learn a language. What does music have to do with it?
Well, the reason why I first got interested in Korean is like freshman year of college, a friend introduced me to Korean movies and I just really enjoyed it. And I liked the sound of the language and I wanted to be able to understand like the movie without subtitles. And then that also led me to discover Korean pop, which is K-pop, and the people in my on my desktop is the group called Bangtan or short is BTS. This stands for like Bulletproof Scouts, or yeah. And so this is just a wallpaper of their older music video, which is Blood, Sweat, and Tears, or Pitam Numul. Um, yeah, and so right currently they are my favorite K-pop band. I don't listen much to American music, I guess, just mostly K-pop. Yeah.
And then after your two visits to Korea as a student at um, a program where it's immersion and
Mhm.
teachers are talking Korean to you while teaching you Korean. Do you notice any sort of fluency difference? Are you able to go to concerts and talk to other people in Korean? Like pretty much like has there been an increase in what you understand?
I think I understand more than I could speak.
Mm-hmm.
But since I've been back from Korea for a couple of years now, and then I don't really have that many Korean speaking friends here, it's basically if you don't use the language, then you're gonna forget and like lose the ability to converse like as well as you did before.
Okay. But I think you do offer a bit of English Korean language exchange using apps nowadays. Like
Yes.
how so are you typing in English to explain Korean or how are you doing this?
I tried for the language exchange apps. There are two of them. One's called MEEF, MEEF. I forgot what it stands for. The
Hmm.
other one's called Hello Talk.
Okay.
And then for those language apps, I do type in Korean as much as I can, and if I don't know in Korean, then I'll type English and ask them like, "Oh, what is this in Korean?" You know.
Okay. So I guess I think we're reaching the end of our show. So we've seen your resume, and the audience had a chance to kind of see and hear a technical demo of your skills, for how to do sort of like a complex project and explain it to ELL learners. If if someone wanted individual tutoring, or they said like I have some senior citizens who are Korean at a senior citizen center and they would love to be able to hire you to teach a fun lesson series, like how would you do that if it was senior citizens who wanted to learn English?
Well, I would have to know kind of what their interests are to make a lesson plan that's like they'll enjoy. So maybe I just ask the people who are asking for um their older relative. Like,
Hmm.
yeah, I would ask them what are their interests first.
Oh, like so the scenario is you are going to guest teach a workshop for senior citizens for 15 elderly Korean speakers who want to both learn English and learn a fun project to do with their grandkids.
It's pretty simple because you're not using a live animal. You would just have them do stop motion again. Since Our project is going to be making stop motion, and it's going to be filmed filmed backwards actually, because we're going to use a pair of shoes. It could be shoes or it could be roller skates or whatever you like, something with laces. And the first thing you're going to do is you're going to make sure it's all tied up into a knot, and then you're going to slowly remove, untie the shoelace, and you're going to take still pictures of each unlaced part each time. And then at the end, you're going to play it in reverse. That way, it looks like it's being tied up by itself.
And this part is not usually part of the rules because you teach English in English, right? But how do you greet someone who's older than you in Korean?
Well, you would have to say 안녕하세요 with the yo is very important. It's the
Mhm.
polite terminology.
Well, yeah, thank you, Sabrina, for your expertise and for being on the show today to show your ELL expertise.
All right, thank you so much for having me.